I'm going to talk to you first about the Egyptian creation story. And we have here a depiction of the moment of creation as the Egyptians saw it. Egypt first became a civilization around 3300 BC, so this is probably well before that. So the first problem with the Egyptian creation story is that there are multiple conflicting accounts, varying from city to city. Each city had its own god, and so each creation account would feature its own god in the creation. So right off, there are different ways of accounting how the whole universe came into being, according to the Egyptians. There's no one story. In the beginning, there was dark, lifeless waters of chaos called Nu, and that's a common feature for all the creation accounts, including the Bible, that we start with this dark, swirling, chaotic water. And then a pyramid-shaped mound emerged from the waters called a ben-ben. And so what we have here in the image is this boat that you see here is the boat of the sun god Ra, who is going to be the sun, and he's depicted as that scarab beetle. So the sun rises from the mound, or the ben-ben, as the sun god Ra. Hopefully you understand what a scarab beetle is if you've ever watched David Attenborough. It's also known as the dung beetle, and yes, the Egyptians were very fond of the dung beetle. And so the dung beetle and that solar disk above there is the rising of the sun god Ra, and it's the first god that's being depicted here in creation, and that's Nu underneath, that's holding up the boat that the sun god Ra is going to ride across the sky with the sun. More gods and the rest of life follow. So it's too many details, but the gods continue to be created, and then people come and the rest of the world comes. Now, what's interesting about this is that Moses would have known about this from childhood. We read in the book of Acts, when Stephen is giving his account, that Moses was trained in all the wisdom and the arts of the Egyptians. Moses would have been very familiar with this. We now move to Babylon. And this artifact here on the left is in the British Museum, and it's known as the Enuma Elish, which is the Babylonian creation story. And in the beginning, we had only salt water, Tiamat, and fresh water, Apsu. And they mixed and parented 4 more gods, and more gods were born after that, after the 4 gods. Now, some of this next detail might sound familiar to you parents. Apsu could not sleep because the young gods made too much noise. So he planned to kill them all, but was killed by his great-grandson Ea. Maybe you're not familiar with that last sentence, but you're familiar with the noise. So this is how the first gods got started, was that there was too much noise, and the first god was tired of it and was going to kill them all, but then he wound up getting killed. Tiamat, the wife, gathered an army to kill Ea, but Ea's son Marduk defeated her. And so Marduk became the top god. And he split Tiamat's body into the heavens and the earth. So half of Tiamat becomes the heavens, the other half becomes the earth. And the interesting note here is that Daniel, in the book of Daniel, would have known about this story very intimately, because this was the creation story in Babylon. So this is a very quick thumbnail sketch of Egypt and Babylon. They've been around for thousands of years. So I want to hopefully you're all familiar with the Genesis account that we just heard. So the Babylonian and Egyptian stories assume the existence of unintelligent creators. It basically starts with formless, chaotic waters out of which gods emerge. The gods are part of the creation. They're part of it, and then they just become bigger parts, or more important parts, or more diversified parts of the creation. And as we just saw, the gods are basically bigger humans. I didn't go into the Egyptian story as much, but they also follow the same thing about gods killing other gods, and all kinds of chaos. Compare that with Genesis. It assumes the existence of an intelligent creator. Right off, in the beginning, God creates the heavens and the earth. So we know that God is intelligent. God is above and beyond his creation. He's not part of his creation. He's separate from his creation. And the third point is that God is not a bigger human. He is separate and distinct. The big term is he is transcendent. So those are three key differences. There's many more. And so this leads me to my conclusion, which is this does not make Genesis true, but it shows that Genesis has more explanatory power for the creation of the world as we know it. And why do I say that? Because we go out into the world thinking that we can discover truth about the world because we have been created by an intelligent God who gave us this intelligence. Whereas if we believe the Babylonian and Egyptian accounts, we came from random chance with no idea of what the world is all about, and we have no idea if what we're finding out is true or not.